I'm Steve Hayes, and I'm here with my friend and colleague, Stefan Hofmann. And together, he and I have been working on how to bring a different model to evidence-based care. And so this conversation is just a chat between two friends and colleagues about where the field's going and what we've been doing to try to help move the field in a positive direction. So Stefan, I'm really happy that you're here to have a chat.
Well, yeah, thank you, Steve. Yeah, this is Stefan Hofmann, and I'm at Boston University. I'm a professor of psychology, and I'm really delighted to join Steve in this endeavor. I think it's long overdue. It's a very important new development, I think, and we're excited to discuss that with you.
Yeah, no, thanks for mentioning your academic qualifications. I failed to, but I should probably say that I'm a professor at the University of Nevada. Well, so maybe one place to start might be the little article that we just wrote, and then we'll get into these bigger projects that we're doing. But we have this very short piece, but also very pithy piece. I'm actually kind of proud of it. It was a lot packed into 2 pages in the journal World Psychiatry, which just came out a few days ago, in which we basically put together several things. We look back at the whole third wave kind of issue. What did that really mean? We look at the contemporary changes that are going on in evidence-based care and in the research programs that NIMH and are funding, and just more broadly where the field is and where it's looking to go. And maybe a place to start would be for us just to chat about what was in that paper, because I think it will very naturally lead to how we went from, let's be honest, I think most people probably think of Hayes and Hofmann as some sort of wrestling match or cage fight. And indeed, we've had our quarrels.
Yes.
In the context of all that, have surprisingly come to see a lot of overlap in what we both care about. So, Stefan, would you be willing just to pull out a few of the things that you think are important in the short piece that's in World Psychiatry that just came out?
Sure. Yeah, and it's a as I said, it's a short piece, but I think it opens up a new way of thinking, or introduces people to a new way of thinking, I think. So I think, clinical psychology has come a long way, and cognitive behavior therapy is unquestionably one of the big success stories in psychotherapy research, no doubt about it. I think what has happened, though, over the years is that basically psychiatry gave us sort of the psychiatric categories to work with. This is depression, this is panic disorder, this is borderline personality disorder, whatever they may be. And the idea was obviously to develop drugs, really, or biological interventions initially to cure the disease. And as CBT evolved, it sort of we and researchers have examined in randomized controlled trials different CBT strategies for all these different mental disorders as compared to often medication. But what it has led really us to is a very, very narrow path. We work within a sort of a latent disease DSM-defined model. And we have done very well as compared, psychiatry have given us these fairly arbitrarily defined diagnostic disorders. But obviously, I think we have come to a point where we need to rethink the way we make sense of the heterogeneity of human suffering, really.
I'm old enough to remember that transition. And I was actually sort of there when Jerry Clareman first said, you're not going to get funding from NIMH unless you go in this direction, the protocols for syndromes. And at the time, behavioral therapy was, struggling with, but in really in a positive way, sort of challenged by how it is that we're going to take principles and create a kind of functional analysis. I think there were a lot of problems in those early efforts, but in a way, it looks to me like we're sort of going back to our roots.
Yeah.
And what's happening here. But I think with a change, I really want to be careful, because I've run into this over and over again. If you start challenging the kind of biomedicalization of human suffering, sometimes people will challenge you on the importance of biology. And these are two very different topics.
Absolutely.
Evidence-based care has to be fully integrated, in my opinion, and I think yours as well, with biology and all of its aspects.
Oh, absolutely.
We're part of life sciences. We belong there. We have to be responsible for the depth of our concepts. Nothing should be going on in the brain that contradicts what we are saying in our theories as to what's going on psychosocially and so forth. But the biomedical model, even within biology, hasn't always worked. I mean, cancer never, progressed as long as all they were doing was listing the signs and symptoms of all these different botanized cancer. It wasn't until they started figuring out what the processes were that we really started getting some traction on how to, treat cancer when it occurred, rather than simply being able to label it as this special type or that special type. So we're going back to basics in a way, aren't we?
In a way, we are. I mean, we have examined that way back when we looked at functional behavioral analysis, trying to understand what context, what stimulus leads to what behavior response, and how they change, and and to understanding what basically the causal mechanism of something that links it back to processes. We somehow lost our way in as we embraced the DSM for better or worse, and sort of incorporated this latent disease model idea. We sort of lost track of our roots, really, of our what psychology can really contribute, what behavior scientists can contribute. And you're absolutely right. Biology is absolutely important. This is not at all to say that we want to dismiss genetics and biology and chemical processes that are absolutely essential. We cannot at the same time simply ignore functional relationships that are very essential, because once we understand the processes, that's what this will open up new ways of really identifying treatments that work, and also new way of identifying how to group people more meaningfully.